Okay, so first of all, congratulations to Prateek for
Yes,
standing first in CL Hackathon. So just a little bit of context, Prasad. We will keep this a very free flowing like a conversation. We don't have to be very synthetic or scripted. We'll
right.
just have a discussion, and once we are done with the discussion, we can always edit and take the clippings, the best part. So the idea is
Absolutely.
to have it like a long free flowing discussion, and we can use pieces of this discussion as a testimonial or as some sort of a you know promotional material. Okay.
Right,
So
right.
I put together a few prompts that may help us in getting started. Okay.
Sure.
So um, yeah, so it is more of a kind of a reflection kind of a session where we'll discuss about his learning journey so far, what he has learned, what he has benefited, and probably a little bit of more focused coverage on his journey in the CL hackathon. How
Right,
did he prepare? What were the key elements that made him win this? So it is not always about the outcome, but also about the process, what
correct.
he followed, because if he is aware about the process, he can always repeat it. It's not about one time winning, but to be able to apply the same learnings in future context. Okay.
Absolutely.
So I'll start with, perhaps we can start a little bit of background about Prateek. So you can talk about which grade he is in now, when he started coding, how you discovered us, and what were the stages in his growth and development. So I'll leave it
Sure.
over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Abhinav. And thanks for having both of us. So, as you know, Prateek has been associated with Sanketana School of Code for nearly 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, more than 3.5 years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, when I think it was very coincidental that we, found Sanketana as a destination for Prateek's structured learning when it came to understanding programming languages or even get introduced to computers, so to say. Right? One of our common colleagues let us know regarding your entrepreneurial journey and your interest in nurturing children for tomorrow when it came to structured thinking and learning more about computers. And that's when I got a little inquisitive. Uh, and when I, pitched this idea to Prateek, if he would be interested to, build games using code. That was the catch that I used to motivate him. I didn't know for know what else I could say for a third grader back then. So and he jumped on it. He just loved the idea that he could build something on his own. Prateek has always been that guy who was fascinated about um, building his own games. He used to write flows, on rough books, where he could turn over pages. Each page would have a flow of a game or a next screen and so on and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
that was when I probably thought I should link both and maybe give it a some kind of a structured thinking. And that's when I found you, and the journey has been extremely successful so far.
Mm-hmm. So can you talk about a little bit about what all he learned with us, what programming languages, what platform, what kind of projects he has built, and what were
Right.
the key differences when you observed in his, growth, intellectual growth?
Sure. So to begin with, I'll be honest. I didn't even know what Scratch was back then, three
Mhm.
and a half years ago. And when I found that it was MIT who came up with this whole idea of having Scratch as a preferred mode of teaching kids how they should think or even how they should start building some smaller blocks of enjoyable content. Maybe I would like to put it that way rather than calling it as a piece of code as well. So Prateek first got introduced, learned Scratch 3.0 with you, and I think as he progressed further, I remember MIT App Inventor was the next. And there were so many similarities between both. But I think what Prateek enjoyed when he moved to MIT App Inventor was that he could use his own application, see it on our mobiles. I think it gave him a feel of the emulator simulator kind of a feeling that we usually have, right? Okay, my own app, you are accessing with 50 other apps on your phone. So I think that that was the second part that we noticed. Then you had also introduced the other learning platforms like Grok, for example, where he started and learning a little bit of CSS, and there was also some structured courses on HTML and CSS that you had run for kids. Post that, he started Python with you, and I think he's progressing, block by block, and I see that his um, two different dimensions that I've seen Prateek improve on. One is break down the problem into finer steps, into unit level blocks, and try and find solutions. Put your larger level ideas into smaller doable things. Number two, collaborate with your team. I think be part of a small cohort that resonates with your ideas. I think it makes a lot of difference to kids, as opposed to larger groups. I feel that's a key differentiator that Sanketana had, where there is a close monitoring and guidance with kids, smaller groups of like-minded kids who can learn and grow together. I saw that consistently happening over last 3.5 years.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. Let's talk a little bit about his journey with Hackathon. So maybe I'll let Prateek talk a little bit more about it.
Sure.
So what was your reaction, Prateek, when you first heard about CEL Hackathon? And I believe the first time it was announced, you were kind of underage. He wanted to participate at that time, but I think he was in 4th grade and the cutoff was 5th grade. So he couldn't participate. And last time, I think he had some exams or something.
That's right.
And
That's right.
and this time, finally, he yeah. So yes, Prateek, just tell us a little bit about your journey with this hackathon and how did you win it?
So first, when my dad enrolled me in hackathon about 3 months ago,
Prateek, can you just tilt the camera a little bit, because it picks up only if you're sitting directly in front at an angle? Yeah.
So first, when my dad told me about the hackathon 2 years ago, I wanted to participate. But as you said, I was underage. I was 4th grade, but it was 5th grade, and I had to be 5th grade. So I waited till next year. I was waiting to participate, but then it turned out I had exams, so I could not participate even then. Finally, 4 months ago, when they again hosted a hackathon, I was able to participate. So when my dad enrolled me in hackathon, and I partnered up with Devesh, I was eagerly waiting for the problem statement. And when I learned that we have to make a project using any of the 4 goals, me and Devesh discussed, and we thought about doing it for good health and well-being. So we thought about making a project which tells about having a good diet, eating good food, and how to remain healthy by doing exercises like yoga, etc. So Devesh did the artwork, I did the code. Devesh made all the UI. We structured it in a way that it starts with 2 people having a conversation. It then flows through the project where it goes to an app called Calorify, which tells you your minimum and maximum calorie intake by taking your age as an input. And finally, it talks about yoga, and then it goes to a screen where you can make a platter of 5 fruits and vegetables based on World Health Organization's 5-a-day rule. So after that was done, we looked for any bugs. We changed the artwork a little here and there, added some good music. Then we submitted the form. Then later, about 2 weeks later, we got an email that we got selected for the top 10. We were like very happy. We made a script so we can talk to the other teachers on the meeting. Then we made a presentation. We showed it to them, and we talked using our script. They asked us a few questions. We answered them like, what was the main idea for making the project, and etc. Then lastly, when the meeting ended, we were hoping we win. Then later, after about a week or so, we got the email that we won.
Mm-hmm.
So
Great.
we were very happy. We were on cloud nine.
Okay, wonderful, great. So what do you think was the key reason behind you winning this hackathon? Yeah, so when you reflect back, what do you think you did well? What you can repeat again, which can improve your chances in maybe winning the next hackathon? So rather, what will be your, let's say, message to other kids who will participate in similar hackathons? How they can improve their chances of winning and making a good project?
So the part which made our project successful, I think, was having easily readable code, good structured parts, good artwork, team collaboration, and then we have to collaborate, and we made a project. We have to have a good flow to the project, so it doesn't look out of context, and it flows like a breeze. It also the code also has to be structured and bugless.
Mm-hmm. Good, very nice, wonderful. Okay, so you can shift the camera. Prasad can come in the picture. Okay, so I think for me also it came as a surprise because uh, it didn't start as smooth. I was getting a feeling that they missed the timeline. They didn't start on time, and they were trailing behind, and they were always most of the time in a catch-up mode. And the first kind of project, the version I reviewed, was not honestly not that impressive. But then we gave a feedback, and then they iterated over it. And after several iterations, that looked nothing like what they originally started with. That was
Right.
really a very polished and refined project. And that made me realize the power of feedback, the power of iteration, and the power of collaboration. Then even if your first version doesn't look anything that you want to aim at, but if you be at it after several version and iteration, like
Yes.
basically the agile philosophy, right?
No, very,
Same.
very well put. Very well put. I think I completely concur with you. So both the kids have their individual thought process that they brought to the table, but what made it working was that the third crucial push, that's the feedback from you and the consistent review from you. I think of course the foundational blocks were laid during the class, and this was the platform where they had to apply those learnings and bring them all together when it mattered the most. So I think doing it 2 or 3 times, and in fact, I'm sure you will also recollect that stage where their code was different. The WHO platter was not in place. The original Calorify app, the objective was different. So they had to really marry them all together, bring them together. So I think that brought their component to systems kind of an approach as well. So which I thought it was very crucial for them to learn. Things don't work in silos. They seem to be working well when you're doing it alone, but then when you deploy them on a common code base, things will fail and so on and so forth. All the journey that you and I have gone through in our respective areas.
Yeah. So I think that would have been a great learning, and it's only proves that the kitchen is always dirty. What matters is the kind of dish you put in the platter and how you serve it.
Correct.
And they
And the
both
garnish,
kind
right?
of
Yeah.
nailed it at that point. So
Absolutely. But I would like to obviously underscore a point. It would definitely not have been possible without that structured learning. And I don't see hackathons win in the year 2023 as a out of the blue happening. I think the seeds were very well laid 3.5 years ago for Prateek. That has contributed, and in fact I tend to think that it would have been an entirely different scenario it's the right teacher that made the difference for many of these kids. When I hear the capstone projects month on month, in fact, that's the only opportunity that I get to listen to other kids too. I think the thinking has been, baselined very well in the kids, how they should be breaking down a problem, like I said before, how they should be, and it all starts with an idea. They don't hesitate to talk to you, they don't hesitate to resonate the ideas with you. You're always available for them to respond, tweak their thinking a little bit, better it, and so on and so forth. And the all the teachers' effort from Sanketana is something that I have really been amazed at, which I'm sure it will take the institution places.
Mhm. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay. So let me see a few other points. So probably how did winning this hackathon boost his confidence, and what was the key learnings from this experience?
Sure. Sure. So maybe I would like Prateek to probably answer it. It's definitely fresh in his mind and thoughts at the moment.
Yes, Prateek.
After I won the hackathon, I felt that if anything is structured and it's collaborative, everything is in place, then I thought that anything is possible. It can go first, can go anywhere.
Mhm.
And it also boosted my confidence that I was nervous when I was first making the project. I was nervous. I was wondering if I'll get it or not. But then I thought that the winning or losing isn't important. You have to first make the project, which is the first step. If you don't make the project, the last step is pointless. If you make the project, it should be structured, it should be well polished, and then if you submit it, it'll come out very good.
Wonderful. So when you made the first version and when we had the first review session, so what was your kind of experience with that? Did you feel encouraged based on my feedback, or you felt there is a lot to be done? You felt that you're running out of time, and how did you take that feedback, overcame the challenges, and finally made the polished final version that you submitted?
So when I first made the first version, I was looking through it. I thought it wasn't very good, to be honest with myself. But when I took your feedback, I looked through your point of view. Then I thought, and then I was thinking that if I put these elements, it'll look nice. I also took my parents' feedback. They told that we can put it through a good flow instead of putting on a UI where you can select different things. If you put it on one flow altogether, it'll come out as a good flow. So when I saw it through both of your point of views, I thought that it'll come out great if we could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we did it, we polished it up, removed any bugs, and then submitted it.
Mm. Very nice. And how was your experience working with Devesh? Obviously, you have known Devesh for a long time. Was he in your batch or was he in a different batch?
He was in a different batch.
Okay, but you must have seen him often during demos and other
Yeah, I
times,
have
right?
seen him often. Sometimes on mixed batches, I've seen him. We did it together.
Mm-hmm. So how was your experience working with him?
It was good. We didn't argue or anything. We just had different ideas.
Mm-hmm.
We mashed them up. I had my ideas, he had his own. And we then mashed them up to make good elements, components, and good code. He told me if we could change the code a little here and there, it'll come out great. I told him that if you put the artwork piece here, there, it'll good look and appealing.
Mm-hmm.
So we collaborated on each other's things. Even though I did the code and he did the artwork, he helped me with the code and I also helped him with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but tell me one thing: how did you manage to merge the code? So, is it like you are working on the same code base, working like pair programming in which one person was pilot, other co-pilot, or you worked on independently, one person on code, one person on artwork, and you integrated that? So, what strategy did you follow to work independently on your own work and then finally merge it together?
So I first was flowing through good ideas, but I was not sure how to put them on. So I started putting few snippets here and there and here and there. I thought about how to merge. Then I removed few components here, put a few components there, and merge the code so it looks it flows through very good.
Okay, nice. Do you think making capstone project as part of each and every module that you did with us helped in a way to structure your thought process to approach this project?
Yeah. When I finished the course for scratch and I was making my capstone project, you also said I pitched my idea to you, and you also said that you could use this, you could use the different modules. You helped me with the code, and you also said that you could use different elements, compounds, and tutorials from YouTube. Then I first made a good version, and I asked you for your feedback. Then I took your feedback, refined it more, used a few components from YouTube, then made a final project. And then I took your feedback again, refined it, and submitted.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful, great. So now next few question is about your future aspirations. So do you think you want to take computer science and programming as the career of your choice, or is it just kind of a side hobby until you reach your maybe senior years or college, or you want to continue with computer programming as a career of choice?
I want to become an entrepreneur where I can develop good engineering solutions for coding and for making good robots, etc.
Mm-hmm. Very nice, good. Okay, and so would you encourage young kids to take up programming early in their learning journey? Do you think is helpful?
Yeah. The earlier you do it, the better it gets when you get older. You can go to new programming languages. Instead of if you learn very late, you'll get stuck in a few places. But if you start it little late, you get to know all the other math. So we can start a little early. It's good.
Okay. Do you feel your long association with coding and programming has helped you in some way with your academics and your school?
Yeah. First, when I started coding, I didn't know what to do. But when I was doing coding, I learned to break down the problem, make it into smaller parts. First, solve the small parts and then merge them together, which was very helpful in my academics in maths, all the subjects.
Okay, very nice. And are you also learning coding as part of your school curriculum? Are they teaching?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay. Not even Scratch or Python? Not yet. Okay. Okay. Fine. So yeah, you can turn towards your father. So maybe Prasad, your message to any parent who is still sitting on fence, maybe undecided whether coding should be taken up by kids, because coding has got especially in context of teaching to kids, have got quite a bad press lately on LinkedIn, especially. So what would be your take on that? What would be the message to future parents who are still undecided whether this is right for their kids or not? Since you being, maybe you can also talk about your profile, what you do as a professionally, and then talk about that.
Sure. So, as you know, I lead a significant part of an IT organization, and in my role, I often come across young professionals, graduate engineers, whom we recruit for developing software solutions. The problem that we often come across is the industry readiness of those young graduate engineers. So while I don't want to do a deep dive on where could be the real problem and how left we can shift to identify the problem, what I can confidently say is that the biggest gap in industry readiness today is, picking and choosing the right skills, polishing them at the right stage, so that they are all, they can all hit the ground running when they join corporate organizations. As much as organizations have a brief training period, 3 to 6 months in many cases, foundations to all these should be laid when all those engineers are young. And while it's an individual choice that how young they can begin on all of these, I would strongly encourage parents of today to strongly nurture their kids' passion, the way at least I had an opportunity to do. I converted or pivoted my child's interest in games to building something or even just gamify his learning. That's how it all began. While it began with an abstract objective, I see that 3.5 years down the lane, he's thoroughly enjoying what he's doing. So I would strongly encourage all the parents to consider, learning coding, whether or not they choose that as a career of their choice tomorrow, because it's going to help you, structure your, way of work. There are several best practices that you can find an analogy with, the way you can organize your day, the way you can solve a given real life problem, the way you can take it back to academics. The possibilities are endless. Just like how kids would be encouraged to learn sport, to learn music, I would also request them to see coding as a possible list of hobbies to begin with. If it gets converted into a career of their choice, nothing like it, right? When maybe a quick simple example would very well resonate with the IT community. There is a severe shortage of engineers who can build systems based on artificial intelligence and machine learning, the root of which is probably in languages like Python. And if your child is getting introduced to a language like Python at an age of 12, what wonders is he able to do when he gets to 21 and gets ready to pick up his first job?
Mm-hmm.
So you are really expediting one's learning without actually stressing them out.
Mm-hmm.
When they start early, they can always space it out. I'm sure other priorities will come up. Could be their board exams, could be their other competitive examinations. They could probably slow down a little bit, but then this is a parallel development of your kid that happens. That's the way I have started looking at it.
Yeah, brilliant. So that also reminds me about 10,000 hours philosophy about becoming a master at any skill. They say that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice to be great at any kind of skill, whether it is art, music, dance, martial arts. Programming is no different. And in order to have that amount of reps and mileage, definitely somebody need to start early. So if a student starts at the age of like 11 or 12, right, they can really, by the time they hit college, they can complete those 10,000 hours.
Absolutely. And I just also wanted to add another dimension. One, for graduate engineers, for even seasoned professionals, collaboration is a problem at workplace. It's a workplace problem today, right? Several projects fail not because of incompetent engineers, but because of non-collaborative team members. That's a proven research point. And high performance teams are built with a combination of skilled work professionals who can collaborate extremely well. And I'm glad that these two dimensions are very well covered through your way of teaching kids. And I noticed that the course content strongly encourages the iterative agile like methodology like that we spoke. All these are industry ready skills which are not taught, unfortunately, in several engineering colleges today.
Absolutely. Okay. Wonderful. So I think I really enjoyed talking with you. Maybe I'll stop the recording and we'll just have some off the record discussion. So I'm stopping the recording now.